Welcome back to the Go-To Food Podcast, brought to you by Deli. Deli's a food platform from the team behind Depop that sells the best independent food and drink products that other shops don't really know about. So head to www.deli.market and discover the thousands of creative products dropping daily, and use the code GOTODELI with a double L for 25% off everything from us. You guys are very welcome, and you're also incredibly welcome because we're delighted to be joined today by cook and food writer Meera Sodha, who's written 3 best-selling cookbooks with a 4th on the way called Dinner, which is made up of 120 recipes. Oh, that's a lot of recipes for the most important meal of the day. I would say it's a lovely summer's day in London. It's not. It's overcast and quite depressing, but that is London life. But if it was sunny, what should I be making tonight to try and bring my girlfriend back on side from the
Have
book?
you had a falling out?
Always.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I mean, small
this
things.
is quite crucial.
Yeah. But like, the kitchen brings us together. So how do I charm her?
Okay.
Quite a lot.
That's a really good question. I guess, like, if it was a beautiful sunny day, I would make, I've got a no-cook salad.
Oh, that sounds ideal.
Ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, love the no-cook stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's so many...
I bought
great-
the book for it, so we
God,
can
that's
literally
beautiful.
reference
There
this
it
if you want.
is. Yeah. It's so many great ingredients that are shortcut ingredients. It's got harissa in there,
Down
some
the front
chickpeas,
for it.
cucumber, tomatoes, and everything. You know, all that summer produce is best in show right now. And then I'd probably pair it with a few picky bits from M&S.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I mean,
Take the pressure off. Yeah.
a baguette, nice glass of, I don't know, whatever wine you fancy.
Yeah.
Little wink and a nudge.
Sounds amazing.
Nuzzle in.
Yeah. Sounds great.
And you're back.
Talk us through the concept of the book. I mean, obviously it is dinner. We're going to sort of delve into why you rediscovered dinner as such an important meal a bit later in the podcast. But in terms of the concept of the book, obviously 120 recipes, but just talk us through how it came about, because it's been a while since your last one.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since I last published a book, which is like, I don't know what the equivalent is, but it's like dog years, isn't it? Because a lot of people kind of publish a cookbook every year.
Every year, yeah.
And so I feel like it's been like, 100 years since one of my books last came out. And that is, it's largely because I went through a really difficult period in my life, like a bad episode of mental health. I had burnout. I think one part of that was just striving to keep on writing recipes week after week after week, for innovation, for work, chasing perfection in the age of Instagram. And just one day I just couldn't, I just wasn't interested in food anymore and couldn't get out of bed. So I tried to get myself out of that hole. I mean, partly because it pays the mortgage.
Yeah, always handy.
Always a good reason to
Yeah.
start doing something again. But also because, I was relying really heavily on my other half, and food is such a major part of my DNA. It's how, like, my mum told me that she loved me when I was growing up. And so I started, like, one day Hugh, my husband, said, please, just can you cook me a meal? And it wasn't really him saying, can you cook me a meal? It was him saying, please, I'm struggling myself here, because he was looking after our baby, who was about 6 months old at the time, a toddler, me, and his job. And it was during lockdown.
Yeah.
And so I just ran into the kitchen and made a dal. And there was just something about it. There are these like moments in life where you feel something that's just much bigger than the thing that it actually is. And yeah, it just kind of, it felt a bit like that, like he like in asking me to do that, he'd given me the keys back to the kitchen, to myself, to this kind of starting point. And I felt like I was making this dish out of love, out of pleasure, out of joy. And then, so I made a rule for myself that I would just start cooking for joy. This is a really long version of the story, but that's basically how dinner came about, was that I sort of made a plan for myself. And if you've kind of gone through a period of bad mental health, like you're like, am I ever going to come out of it? I feel so out of sorts. And so like planning what to make, I found it just really helped to ground me, gave me a sense of purpose for a day. Even if I didn't do it every day, it was just this really nourishing, restorative thing that I could do. And I would write down the recipe and what happened that day in this little orange book that we keep by the microwave. And then that book sort of filled up. And I talked to my editor about it. I was late on another book that I was meant to deliver. And I said, I really want to share this with people because I'd been on a real journey. I felt like I'd sort of rediscovered like what I love about food, what I love about cooking, the flavors. It was really about me, about joy, about pleasure. but also it's called Dinner, right? I mean, it's a ludicrously practical book. It's vegan and vegetarian food in an age where people are eating a lot of vegan and vegetarian food, but a lot of the recipes that are being written are for like side dishes, like, I don't know, roasted carrots with feta or something like that. And so this is really like the one meal that you can put on the table every night. And a lot of the recipes are much simpler because that's what I really wanted to cook.
It must be quite hard. I was thinking, like, I actually the other day made a banging, what did I make? I made like an orzo with just a meatball orzo kind of thing. And I was like, this is actually banging. Like, I reckon I could be a chef here for 1 second. And then I was thinking, imagine if I had to wake up every day and the first thing was like, I need to come up with another dish. Yeah. And having read your article in The Guardian, I was like, you also find yourself cooking at like 11 a.m., which isn't a meal time. And I can imagine it's quite stressful. You do lose the love for...
Yeah, I think what's particularly stressful is like, I suspect the population at large, those who cook, probably cook a rotation of like 10 or 12 dishes, maybe with little tweaks that they know and they like go to their cookbooks and they like them. So to have to come up with like, well, 120 for a book, one every week for a Guardian column, it's like that is tiring. I saw a thing from Rosie McKean, the pasta queen.
The pasta queen.
Yeah.
So she's getting married and going on a honeymoon and sort of almost asking her subscribers, like, can I have a week off my Substack?
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, the pressure.
Take a week off your Substack. People don't like, everyone will support you, like you're fine.
Yeah.
But it kind of highlighted that pressure.
Yeah. Yeah,
to have to come up with like brand new dishes every...
For sure. Like, I mean, sometimes it's like so joyful.
Yeah, no, of course.
And you might, start in the supermarket and get inspired by an ingredient. And, I feel like the fizz in my fingertips, just kind of wanting to do something. You eat something and you're like, wow, that was so great. I need to do something with that. But yeah, like when the pressure's on, I think I didn't really notice because I'm I love the energy around creativity and around innovation, that I almost was like blind to the fact that I've been in the food industry for 10 years and actually the food that my kids were eating was like largely buttered pasta or something. Yeah. And then the food that I was cooking for work was largely what I considered to be work food, and that there was no coherence in my own family home at all. So I don't know, I've kind of got a mixed relationship with it because the pressure is like really real, but I also like thrive under pressure. I quite enjoy the creativity and I really love like experimenting, and I feel like food is learning and it's continuous. And if you're a curious person, it will feed that side of you. But yeah, like when you kind of, when I had the breakdown, I was like, I just couldn't give up. I just wasn't interested at all.
Does your partner have a good dish? I mean, he was fed up with cooking after a while, but does he have one great dish? We can celebrate his creativity.
He's an immense cook.
Okay,
he's so good, but he is. He's kind of he does everything. He's straight out of the Jamie Hugh Fernley Whittingstall.
Yeah. What is it? Whittingstall?
Hugh. Whittington.
Yeah.
Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Hugh. Which Hugh?
Yeah.
Sorry, both Hughs.
Yeah.
So he's so good. He does amazing tray bakes. He makes great like roast chicken and fish. Like he's a carnivore. He makes beautiful lentils, like poi lentils with like a sofrito base.
Oh, nice. He sounds cultured.
Everything that he cooks is just wonderful. Yeah, he's a really, really good cook, and his star has been overshadowed, I think. He doesn't get an opportunity to shine, but he definitely works with me on all of the books. He's a strategist, and so. For an advertising, for an advertising
and
agency.
For life.
Yeah. Wherever he is. Yeah.
And so he's the mastermind behind like a lot of the organisation of the books, and like like Fresh India was like I think his title, and
really
and like how to structure things. We work on it together. So he's a really big part of like, and he's got like quite a good palate now. So if something's got a bit too much, like cumin or something.
He can flag it.
He's red waves.
One of the dishes I love the look of was Ben Benton Strikes Again.
Silly.
Can you talk us through, we are sat with I think this is Ben Benton who's sat alongside us. Unless there's another one.
Yeah, there's another one.
Can you talk us through the Ben Benton Strikes Again dish?
Yeah, well, I should probably front this by saying like Ben's been like such a major part of my career, like such an integral part.
That's true.
It is so true. So I first
willing bag carrier. To help you wherever I can.
But we go back some way. I met Ben when he was like cleaving open a turbot outside of the dock kitchen on the terrace, and Rich, the head chef, had invited me in to come and like learn how to brine a pig's head because I'd just been made redundant. And so I went into the duck kitchen and just totally fell in love with everything that Stevie and Ben and Rich were doing. And we've just kept in touch since then. And Ben's like helped me at like various points. Like he cooked all of the food for Fresh India so beautifully. And then he's also written quite a few recipes in dinner. And so Ben Benton Strikes Again is like a stroke of genius. And I think it kind of really typifies Ben's cooking, and actually kind of we do share the same sensibilities, I think, around
100%.
food. But I'm always desperate to know what Ben's cooking and what he's cooking for friends, what he's eating. It's always guaranteed to be like very effortless. And very simple and very beautiful and much greater than the sum of its parts. And that's what Ben Benton Strikes Again is. It's like got this quite unusual flavour combination, and maybe
strange.
like with the fennel seeds and the Szechuan peppercorns.
Massive hunks of celery.
And big hunks of celery. Yeah. And then you kind of cook the celery and the aubergine down. And then the sauce is largely made up of like laugama, kohlrabi peanut and tofu, that one.
Sounds banging.
I mean,
it's very good.
It's like, I think it's got something like 8 ingredients in it, but it's like one of the most beautiful dishes in the book. It looks absolutely stunning and it tastes wild.
Very good.
It's great.
I should say we had Ben's Vegan Kitchen on, Ben Rebuck, if you know him on Instagram. He came on and was saying his favourite dish in the world was Ben Noodles. And then you told him, well, those are actually named after
no
me as well.
idea.
Oh.
He'd actually been sent them by a mate.
What?
Yeah.
And then I decided to make them for him that day. So A, he's a huge fan of yours and loves those noodles, and B, that blew his mind.
Yeah, they were banging.
They were, but they are bang bang.
Ben Noodles is definitely one of the most popular recipes. Unbelievably good.
They are so good.
They're so good.
One question I have for you, Mira, and obviously I have worked with you alongside you, but one of the things I think is so magic about you, so like there's some quite esoteric recipes in this book, right? They're sort of, they are very comforting, but they're drawn from across the world. Like they're not necessarily kind of the things that people would expect to see. What is it like? You have an innate sense of even something that might be like Indonesian, quite niche dish, of like picking that or creating those things that feel, even though they're drawn from across the world, very kind of comforting and homely. And like, is that just something that is innate to you, or is there a set of like things that you're looking for?
Absolutely not. I wish there was like a list of things I was looking for. I feel like it would make life much easier.
It would, yeah.
But I think that's just like your personal taste that you develop over time. Like you have that too, and so I just feel like what I've always loved, like since I have been living in London, and I was very fortunate to my halls of residence. I went to university in London, and my halls of residence was on Rosebery Avenue, and it was just down the road from the Eagle, from Morrow, from Ottolenghi.
Yeah.
And so I really fell in love with a lot of that kind of food, and I feel like what typifies the food of a lot of the cooks that I really like is that it's like elevated home cooking, and that's what I really love. I mean, that's where my mum is a phenomenal cook, and I grew up eating her like very traditional ancient Gujarati food. So Gujarat's on the west coast of India, but made with Lincolnshire produce, because that's where we grew up, like with like fields of like kale and potatoes and sweet corn and you name it. Like it just grew around us, and so. And that's just what I love. I love like elevated home cooking, or just home cooking. And so I feel like when I see it, I love asking people, what do you cook at home? Yeah. Like, and when I travel, it's not about the fancy restaurants. Like I'll learn about like, interesting new flavor combinations from fancy restaurants. But really what I want to know is, what are you cooking day in, day out? And why are you cooking it? Like, what does it mean to you? And then I love bringing that to people. And then I love kind of cooking it, and I feel very connected to those other home cooks then.
Sounds banging. I mean, so your family was sort of Indian political refugees, some of them via Uganda, some from India, but, coming up to the north of England, or is Lincolnshire in the north?
Yes.
Yeah, north, middle north, yeah. Talk us through your sort of childhood memories, because obviously, big family, loving your food, as you were just saying, your mum's an amazing cook. What are those great smells you can still remember when you were growing up?
Oh, like so many. I mean, I reckon my school uniform smelt of like fried onions for like my entire childhood.
Did you find that was a draw? Because I feel like you saying that now, if you think I'd be immediately going, I want to be friends with Mira. But did it translate like that?
No, I don't think it did. But also she used to, though she couldn't buy chapati flour locally, and so there were like, there's lots of like old, I think, Dutch mills, like flour mills around Lincolnshire, and so she would buy like whole wheat flour, and like make her own chapati flour, and so like the smell of she would make chapatis like daily, if not every other day. And then the smell of that roasting on the tawa is like one of my like favorite smells. Even like the smell of basmati, like in our kitchen, she'd keep the door closed so that the smell didn't kind of get out to the rest of the house. And it would just like steam up the windows. Like she'd take the lid off. And I love the smell of like freshly cooked basmati. I mean, my favorite dishes of hers, like I love her spinach and paneer and her aubergine curry, which I could eat by the bucketful. There's like a beautiful cabbage and potato curry, which sounds like really nothing at all. And it's so Lincolnshire as well. Like cabbage and potatoes is such a Lincolnshire thing. So I love that. Yeah. So those, I mean, kind of like peppered with other things like smash and Kraft cheese singles and what else did I grow? Ski yogurts, like the peach ski yogurts and stuff like that, because it was the 80s, right?
Yeah. So they were leaning into that.
Yeah,
fully.
Yeah,
nice.
Fully.
But did your mum want you to be in the kitchen with her? Because like we've seen a lot of old books and old films where big Indian families want to get the kids in there and want to sort of make sure they're getting involved. But apparently they were forcing you more to get into your studies than they were helping out in the kitchen. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. Like they were so poor, my parents, when they came over here. I mean, there's like, I don't know, there was like some TV program on Channel 4, like Britain's Worst Council Estate or something. And that's where they were when they first got married. And so they just, I think it really spurred them into working really hard and like earning enough money to send us to a good school and to teach us from day one that what matters most is working hard, getting a good job, earning money so that we wouldn't have to like worry about that. And so she would just boot me out of the kitchen and tell me to go and do my homework. And then I'd get like, every like Diwali or something, I'd get like more arithmetic books or something like that to like do. Or she'd like find some teacher and say, please come and tutor my daughter. Like, it was pretty relentless. And there wasn't, I also lived quite far away from the school. So it felt like it was really, and they were just books. It was quite weird. I think I had sort of quite a strange childhood, but I think also like there's really positive stuff in that, like having someone who really aspires for you is really magical, and then being really damn bored in the middle of Lincolnshire where there's nothing to do is going to make you want to get out and do something with your life. So I found that quite useful as well.
What was the reception when you announced? I know you went and did other stuff, which I think Freddie might ask you about, but when you announced you were writing a cookbook after all the hard work to kind of push you maybe into...
Oh, she was super proud. Yeah. Like she's, and also I'd got all my studies out of the way by then, so it was all fine.
You aced it.
But yeah, I mean, not a lot of people, if you kind of look at the Gujarati community, the Ugandan Asians, like people talk about them a lot for having like bolstered the UK economy. I mean, they were the Mr. Patels and so many of them have turned out to be doctors and maybe the Mittels, I'm not sure. I think they're
really?
Uganda. Yeah, I think so.
That the Steel lads?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think so.
Take them.
Yeah, I'm going to say
claim them.
Some of ours.
Definitely Gujarati, yeah.
Can't remember what I was saying now. Where was I? Sorry.
Your mum being proud.
So but it was a really lovely thing because it just allowed me to just go and talk to her about like, those questions you never ask your parents about like, what did they like? How was it growing up in Uganda? What grew around you? What did you eat? Like what happened on a daily basis? And so it's quite weird because I grew up as like the only brown kid in a very white agricultural village.
Yeah.
And so like I suddenly felt like this experience of being bicultural made a bit more sense because I could colour in more bits of my past. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't realised like how valuable that would be to learn about all the different stories of just family in Uganda, what life was like there. And I think it was especially important for me to do because neither of my parents want to go back to Uganda. So the place that they grew up in, I will never know. I'll never be able to travel down those roads, see the schools that they grew up in, see the houses that they grew up in, meet the friends that they had at that time. And so there's a real there was such beauty in being able to connect on some platform, which was food for me, to be able to sort of learn about all of that stuff.
I read about a lot of my like cricketing heroes who sort of in the 70s, 80s used to sneak off upstairs with like a radio under their bed and listen to the Ashes on the radio. Were you like sneaking off, like nicking like Delia Smith books or like watching, I don't know, TV then? Were you obsessed with food at that age outside the house, or was it just...
No. I really wasn't. Like I totally took her for granted and her cooking for granted. Like it was only until I went to university and like would just go into a corner shop and listen to the Patels like speaking Gujarati and just totally missing my mum's food. Also couldn't cook at all. I was making like pasta pesto, just pasta with pesto all the time. Like that's just what I was living off. And so, I went out one night and found myself on Brick Lane with like a bunch of like really good friends of mine who were all English, and they asked me in this like very typical Indian restaurant, like, what should we order from the menu? And I was like, this is crazy that you think that this is what I grew up with. This is boilerplate template Indian food that is, I don't know how these menus came about. But I think they're largely cooked by like people from Bengal. The food, those kind of, vindaloo, etc. Like kormas. And so that really, I was already missing her food. And then I think it just really spurred me into action to like just go back and learn how to cook. She said, I've never written any of these recipes down. They've just been handed down from like woman to woman in our family forever. And I was like, oh, wow. So this could stop with me unless I kind of go and write everything down. And that was...
Thank God you did.
Yeah.
So it was more like a collation exercise initially. Like you weren't necessarily planning on writing a book. This is Made in India. We're talking about the bestseller, award-winning. You're welcome, and so you Ben. But like initially, you were just like collating to restore and keep these for the future generations, and then you're like, I think there's a book in this.
Yeah, it kind of came about really randomly. So I was made redundant by Innocent Drinks. That's when I was learning to brine pig's heads in the Dot Kitchen.
Again, thank God they made you redundant.
and I had this idea. There was this Innocent scholarship that was you could win £1,000 to make your dreams come true. And you had to kind of stand up and pitch to the whole company. I said, right, now's the time. I've got some time on my hands. Like, I really want to go to Gujarat, go meet my family, write down these recipes and like turn them into, like I already had some of my mum's recipes, but then sort of turn it into a book that I could then give to people at Innocent Drinks, like all of my friends, like people who tried my mum's food and loved it. And then one of the guys who voted was a guy called Pete Gowlett, who was like fixing my laptop because it had broken. And he said, oh, my wife's an editor at Simon & Schuster, you should go and speak to her. And I kind of ignored the comment because I was late for a meeting to like present something. And he just put me in touch. She was like, here's like a list of agents, like write a proposal. And then 2 weeks later, I had an agent. And then 5 weeks later, I had 5 book deals.
Wow.
Like five.
There's that work ethic.
It was just
extraordinary.
It was extraordinary. It was like a 2-minute conversation that's changed the course of my life.
Yeah, insane.
Which, totally insane.
When you were at school, were you having school dinners or were you bringing your own food in? Because we've had a whole host of chefs who like are now thankful that their parents sent them with like weirder combinations than the everyday person. Like, were you going to school with different things or were you just eating in the school?
No, Mum used to do a packed lunch for us.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
But was it like an 80s British one or was it?
Yeah, it wasn't an Indian. No, I kind of went through I feel bad now thinking about it, but I went through such a rebellious phase. I was like, screw this Indian food. Like, I don't want to smell of onions every day.
Yeah.
And I really felt so different to like, everyone else.
Yeah.
So I just wanted like, plain sandwiches.
Yeah, the more basic, the better.
Yeah, but she would make like, gorgeous like whole wheat quiches with like broccoli and other things in there. I'm trying to remember what she used to cook, but like she'd like roast a chicken and then we'd kind of eat through that for the rest of the week with like sandwiches and things like that. And she communicates like through food.
Yeah.
And so like for her it was just this like she can never cook enough.
Sure.
Yeah, and she's the kind of woman who like you'll eat something, you'll tell her that she likes it and she will just start weeping because it's the equivalent of saying I love you so much. Mum.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you've had to be incredibly creative once more, fourth time, to create 120 recipes in this one. We are going to ask you to be creative again because we're going to play a little game of Deli Steady Cook. We play it with all our guests. Ben brings out what do we call them? Half curated, half mystery? And they're curated
It's a
by
mystery
Ben.
bag.
It's a mystery bag. Go on. And you tell us what dish you'd make at the end of the show.
Exciting.
I'm going to give you some treats, Mira. You probably know some of these. Doo Eats Thai
Ooh.
chili oil. Unbelievable.
Awesome.
I mean, that is proper
That looks real nice.
crack. This, made by Raju, is a spicy barbecue tamarind sauce,
Lush.
which is
That is amazing.
outrageous. You could sort of just drink that.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
might.
not on the pod. Some of the best coconut milk you'll ever come across. Coconut milk from
Wowza,
Huskers
that
and
looks
Co.
So bougie.
Some of the best ramen noodles you'll ever come across.
Okay.
Wow, it's all there. There's all good noodles.
Peanut sauce from Sambal Shiok,
Woof.
which again,
Insane.
I really sort of, for some reason, associate you with nutty little treat sauces, and then some butter beans.
Interesting.
And you can bring other stuff to the party. You don't have to say anything now.
Okay.
Should we leave these out, Freddie?
Yeah, leave them
Do
out.
it.
And you can sort of stare
Yeah.
at them.
Yeah.
And
Let's
at the
leave
end,
them out.
you can make a couple of dishes or one. Or
Nice.
Just have a think about it.
Well-
As you do, should we have a drink, Ben? It's
Let's
time
have a
for
drink.
the go-to drinks. And as Ben tells us what he's bought today, we're going to ask you quickly, what's your go-to cocktail? If you drink, I don't know if you do, but if
I
you
do.
do,
Yeah,
you
I
do.
drink. And so I love, this cocktail has a terrible name, but it's called Naked and Famous.
Okay.
Do you know it?
No, I don't, but I
is a
want to
terrible
know
name.
about
It's a
it.
terrible name,
I
isn't
want
it?
to know about it.
So think of it as like the older, like sexier sister of the margarita.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
So it's like equal parts mezcal, lime, yellow chartreuse,
Oh, my God.
and Aperol. So it's the color
That is
of
bougie.
like an 80s sunset,
Yeah.
like a Miami sunset.
does it have the gradient? Or is it like
No, sadly
you
not.
need to mix it in a certain way? maybe?
Yeah, and then it's like served with a chili salt rim.
Oh, sounds
It's
fantastic.
like unreal. It's so good.
Do most places like have an ability to do that?
No,
No.
I don't. No, I don't think
No.
so. Like my typical go-to when I'm going out is like a margarita.
Yeah.
Because like it's so popular now, no one's going to mess it up.
Yeah.
So
Do you try to order that and see
what,
and then people look at you blankly and I'll have a margarita. It'll be all right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to be in the right
You
kind
have
of
to-
place.
right, okay.
Yeah.
You need to be a dedicated cocktail bar.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you have there, Ben?
So this is from a company called Black Lines, and it is a Hugo or Ugo, you pronounce it,
Ugo.
spritz.
So what's
And
in there?
I don't really know, to be honest. I'm going to pour it and we can drink it.
Deli, it looks great.
It's born by the turquoise lakes of northern Italy.
Well, that is, I mean, anything born in the turquoise lakes of northern Italy is worth trying, I think. That sounds absolutely incredible.
Thought we could try it together.
Yeah, 100%. Is it alcoholic, non-alcoholic? What is it?
I think it's got booze in it.
Okay,
I
good.
like Black Lines. I'm trying to remember what I
right.
think they do. Do they do pre-made cocktails? Those
Yeah.
Negronis and
Which I think you can buy in Deli
Yeah.
as well. Can you? I think you can.
And Freddie,
Very
you get
nice.
25% off with the code GoToDeli.
Use 2 L's.
2 L's.
For God's sake. Cheers. Thank you so
Cheers.
much for coming. Congratulations
Thanks so
on
much
your
for
fourth book.
having me.
Cheers,
It will be a
Freddie.
bestseller
Cheers,
at the
Freddie.
first 3.
Thank you.
Let's have a try of this.
It's actually quite delicious.
It
Well, that is
is,
lovely.
like,
Refreshing.
I like it when
Yeah.
it gets you just like
it's quite like
In the jowls.
flower-esque, isn't
Yeah.
it? Mm. In the jowls.
in the jowls. Yeah.
That is lovely.
Happy with that?
I'm happy.
An effervescent joy.
Yeah.
It's nice to bring some booze back on the pod. It's been a couple
I
of
know
weeks
you've
without
been a
it.
bit sort of
Well,
critical of my recent drinks
yeah.
offerings.
I know.
Where are we, Freddie?
Well, we're just in the go-to cocktail. So I think we're going to ask Mira if we can go around hers.
Shall we? Mira, Freddie and I are coming around for dinner.
Awesome.
What are you putting out for some little snacks, and what are you serving us as a little sort of aperitif?
Okay, so I used to be a real idiot and like totally kipping myself when friends came over, and now I just love getting people through the door.
Yeah.
And so I'm a real sort of Crispies in a bowl kind of girl now.
Saw that in the article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
So
Thoughts we got
what are
for-
you reaching for?
So right now, I mean, I've got a few that I pull out of the bag, but I like a sort of good plain salted crisp, crisscross with some Kewpie mayonnaise,
Ooh.
and then decorated generously with some pickled chilies, like sliced pickled chilies. So there's this like
That
jar.
escalated very
So it's like
quickly.
a cold
Very exciting.
Asian South American nachos, but you don't put them. I don't know.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
I just love. Great
Oh.
combo. If I
That would disappear very quickly.
Yeah.
If I was there.
So delicious, so nice. What else do I like? So there's this great flavour combination that I feel like I need to tell you about as
Yeah.
well. I mean, you may have already discovered it, but a friend of mine told me about it last year. Haven't stopped eating it since. So Tyrrell sweet chili crisps
Yeah.
with a sour cream and chive dip.
Ooh.
And I know.
Like one you could buy.
Yeah, like
that kind
one
of
that you
stuff,
can
yeah.
buy.
Yeah.
And it's I just can't stop eating it.
Too addictive.
Too addictive.
Freezing cold, the dip has to be there, right? Yeah.
I mean, I would.
Is that?
Well, because they
Might-
always come out the fridges in the supermarket colder than anything.
Yeah.
Especially the sour cream ones. I don't know what.
And that's a good
there's something
thing.
in there, like some sort of chemistry. They're so good.
Yeah. All right. Great.
That's a great gumbo. What about morning drink? The first thing you drink in the morning?
So I like chai in the morning, but I'm a bit lazy, and so I don't make it. I used to make it because typically you'll boil up some spices with some milk and some tea bags, and that's when you get that kind of like slightly stewed, really spicy flavour. But these days, I found some like reasonably good tea bags, but I have this like little dance. They're called Tea India chai.
Oh yeah, I've had those.
Yeah.
They're good.
They're pretty good. I have to sort of do
They're
a
not
little.
good.
No, they.
They're
No, sorry, they are.
Yeah.
They're good, but I have to, in order to kind of, get enough spice to like tickle
Yeah.
the taste buds like
Yeah.
first thing in the morning. I have to like squash it repetitively, like
Right.
against the side of the mug to like beat the flavor out of it, and like leave it in there long enough so that I kind of get enough flavor, but without it going too cold. So it's a little dance I have to perform in the
'Cause
morning.
in India, chai is tea, right? Just normal tea.
Yeah,
Isn't it? So
Well,
it's quite confusing.
it is quite confusing because chai is
Just
tea.
meat
Yeah.
tea.
Yeah,
But here it's.
so masala chai is
Yeah.
like spiced tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking more masala chai.
I'm talking about masala. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking about masala
yeah.
chai. But over here, I think if you ordered a chai, it would be the spiced version of it.
confusing.
Because, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot of videos on Indian street food, weirdly, and actually, well, not weirdly,
Not weird
wonderfully.
at all. It's tremendous.
But the way they have their tea looks incredible. Like the whole drama. I don't know if you've been in there and had it.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Very sweet, apparently. Lots of sugar involved.
So like, yeah, so sweet. It will like pop your eyes open.
Yeah.
And, but so good, like feels so natural to sort of drink
Amazing,
something.
yeah.
Like it's very bolstering first
Yeah.
thing in the morning.
It'd be incredible.
Oh,
I need to get out to India.
on a morning where you might have indulged the night before. What's your hangover cure? What are you imbibing and eating? And
I mean, it depends on how bad the hangover is.
oh, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, then it's probably like water.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like gunning water in between like Nurofen Express.
Yeah.
But like a kind of a friend of mine who studied chemistry at Cambridge told me all about the electrolytes or something. So like coconut water is like meant to be the best thing for a really bad
Really?
hangover. Yeah, because it kind of
Yeah.
you're so dehydrated and it gets like all the nutrients and the water kind of moving in your body. So maybe that, but if it's not so bad, then maybe I don't know what the difference is between a shandy and a radler, but it just feels like wonderfully thirst quenching.
Yeah.
But also like you've kind of overcome like the worst of your hangover. So that's like my drink of choice.
What is the difference?
I don't know. What's
Maybe
a radler?
someone can get in the
A shandy's
comments.
what, beer with lemonade?
Lemonade.
And a radler is
Is it
Beer
a
cider?
with black
lager.
currant, is it? No.
I think it is also lemonade. I feel
Basically,
like
getting
I've had a
booze in your
grapefruit
system
one.
with more sugar
Yeah.
is the trick.
Taking the edge off.
Yeah.
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 Like Joe Loki came on and said gin and tonic, just with like a really sugary tonic.
Straight in.
But then yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well, Joe. No. I want to talk to you. Well, actually, food wise. Sorry, do we get food wise as well?
So food wise,
Not
like
yet.
it's when I most want to eat Indian food, but I can least be asked to make it. And I still haven't found like the best takeaway. Like I'd love something like a home cooked like sag paneer,
Oh.
or like some really fat chewy noodles.
Yeah.
So I can get the noodles. I need to like be a higher version of myself to like pre-cook myself some Indian food because it's just so hard to find like good Indian home cooking.
Well, where do you go to get your Indian food if you're not cooking, like takeaway wise or?
So that's a really good question because I haven't found a place near me that's really, really good. But I will occasionally go to East Ham and go to Saravana Bhavan. Have you heard of that place?
No,
like,
but talk us
I
through
think
it.
from you.
it's so great. Like there's such a massive South Indian community and Sri Lankan community in East Ham. And so it does kind of feel like a mini South India going over there, which I love because you kind of you're kind of sat butt cheek to butt cheek with like loads of other families when you go there, like packed really tightly. Everyone's eating with their hands. I'll order a dosa and a mango lassi, and it will come with like fresh coconut chutney. Dreamy. And yeah, that's my
dosa for lunch.
my thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. I want to take you back just quickly to when you're leaving university. Your parents are thinking, is she going to be a doctor or a lawyer? One of the two. And then suddenly you walk into the sitting room and say, I've just come up with an app idea. It's called Fancy an Indian.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of the first dating apps back in the day. Can you take us through how that came about?
My cousin Sithal was looking for a husband and like looking to get married, and I think had only dated but she wanted to marry an Indian guy. But at the time, I was just thinking, this is crazy. They're passing books around with photographs and comments underneath, and there's still introductions being done by parents. Like, which decade are we living in? This is really silly.
This.
And so I'm trying to remember what existed before then, but I don't feel like there was JDate around. But Match. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But the big one, like all the other big ones, weren't around at all.
Yeah.
And so, I just was so excited about it. I thought I just love the name Fancy an Indian. And so we were working with like a little tech agency. I was working in like a call center, and I call myself Sue because no one could pronounce Mira, like kind of doing upsales on like, where you kind of sort of ring up to buy anti-wrinkle cream, and then you'd sell them like another cream, like a foot cream, and you get £1 for each one. And it was just awful because there's all these desperate people who are worried about their wrinkles. And it was just a really bizarre job.
Yeah.
But so I was doing that during the day, working in a cocktail bar. And then I was like trying to put together this website. But of course, like at that time, like we were so new in the age of like internet dating. So yeah, it was like a...
Did it come to fruition? Are there people you met on Fancy an Indian?
We lost so much money. And so we did some like in-person dating events. And those were great, actually.
Yeah.
And they were called Save the Date. And I employed a company
Very
called...
good at naming.
Thanks.
Yeah, great name.
Stoke Newington Airport, and we'd have these like singles parties where people would have to like show their prowess of like, how they would like, we blindfolded them and they had to like toss things in a frying pan and like catch them, and they were the best parties.
Yeah.
And I kind of semi-met my husband through like one of the parties that I organised.
Was that the game all along?
Yeah. It was actually, because we were all single. There was like a bunch of single girls. So yeah, I'm very sad that didn't happen, especially because like most people who've set up like a successful dating app are now like multi-billionaires. Retired exactly at the age of like 25.
Too early, Mira. Too early.
I know.
I actually tried to set one up as well back in the day.
Really?
Yeah,
you?
I did. It was called Erotes, which is a ridiculous name.
Say it again.
And
Erotes.
Yeah, it was meant to be like a Greek angel of love or something.
Yeah,
It
right.
was like the Greek Cupid, I think.
You overthought it.
Well, no, the concept was you went to venues and then you two would match, and then you're in sort of Kingston, you're in where do you live again? Well, North London.
North
East
London.
London.
And then like it would give you all the options of places which had signed up in between, and you could get like a deal for your first date. It was actually
And
quite a
come
good
together.
idea. Yeah, but
What happened?
nothing. That was the problem.
Did you meet your partner through trying to set that up?
No, I didn't.
No.
No, I didn't.
Well,
Anyway,
Mira wins.
let's
Times.
talk about more food. Let's go to go-to menu, and we're going to ask you the dish you'll always order if it's on a menu.
Ooh, Pani Puri. So
Ooh.
I love Pani Puri. It's like a semolina shell, and then you kind of poke a hole through it. It's like the size of a golf ball, and then it comes with like a spiced water that's made with like roast cumin, coriander, like tamarind, mint. I said mint and coriander, yeah. And it's spiced and refreshing, and you can put chickpeas and bean sprouts in there. It's just like the most ludicrously delicious like explosion in your mouth.
That's quite exciting.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, very
It's
good.
so lovely, and it's quite rare to find them as well. So
Yeah.
I would always order that.
I feel like their moment will come. Though I feel like how there's like now MoMA shops
Yeah.
from Nepalese. I feel like there could be like a Pani Puri explosion.
Drop in for a few
in
Pani
London. I
Puri.
think that could be the next
I
big
would
thing.
fucking love that.
I'm just saying.
Is there a dish or ingredient you think is on too many menus at the moment?
Oh, I want to say kimchi maybe, but I don't
I think
know.
you're right. It is on too many menus.
Yeah.
I also really love kimchi, so
Yes, so do I.
yeah, I don't know.
But if anything that's too... You need the...
But it's not like I see it and I'm like, ugh, there we go again.
No, it's exciting, but it's
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah,
It
you
is
are right.
everywhere. But I love it. What's been the worst cooking fad? I mean, you've been around for many years writing best-selling books. What's been the worst fad? Maybe outside, obviously, the recipe books, but like... Yeah.
like I love courgettes, but maybe the spiralizer.
Yeah.
I feel like what a pain in the ass that thing is. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're just not, I think they were being pitched as like an equivalent to noodles, and they're definitely not an equivalent to noodles. No. And I mean, why do you need a spiralizer when you could just shave a courgette with
Shave some courgettes.
Or like
Also,
cut
courgette is depressing, isn't it?
It is
you
depressing.
get back from a long day at work, you just want a proper noodle.
Choose for a kilo of courgette.
Yeah, you don't want courgette.
I also just didn't like how it made the pasta or noodles seem evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing
It
evil
really,
about
yeah,
pasta
it
and
was
noodles.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It was a slight snub, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Anyway, I'm also pleased to see the back of spiralizers.
I agree.
Mira, have you got any little tricks or tips or hacks? I think hack's a dirty word, but like for the home cook to achieve deliciousness better?
I mean, for sure. Like, I mean, there's things that I use the whole time as like, let me think. Like, I think a lot of Asian ingredients are great, like flavor, like ways to build flavor. And so the aforementioned kimchi, absolutely fantastic. I've got, I like to kind of cook it down and put it into a tomato sauce because it kind of takes the edge off a little bit, but adds like, kind of pumps up the flavor and the umami.
So chop it up and get it in the base of something.
Yeah, into the base of something.
That's nice.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. So, I mean, anything like miso, soy, I mean, what a lineup, right? Like lao gamma chili oil, gochujang, any of those things.
What about this chili oil here?
I mean, look at that chili
Looks
oil.
banging.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's just
delicious.
waiting
to
to be deployed into something.
I think people like Deli almost like are kind of, people have realised that those, I think as well when people are eating more vegetarian and vegan food, it seems people are learning more these little like, what's the word for them? I don't know, like flavour bombs or kind of like elevators. Yeah.
No, I agree.
And how crucial they are in the kitchen.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that is just, I think it's a key to a successful weeknight meal is just having a bunch of those, and they just sit so quietly in your fridge. And so I've got like 2 shelves of condiments in my fridge, and which I love because I feel like you could have some vegetables and you could have some rice.
Yeah.
And then you throw on like some Kewpie mayonnaise or some chili oil and you have a meal.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They're more important than ingredients in many ways. Other day I was making a toasty, thing of kimchi at the back, thing of like chili jam. If I didn't have that, it was a shit toasty. But a couple of those things,
You're in the game.
You're in the game.
Yeah.
Like, just takes you to the next level. Anyway, talking about food, Ben, I know you always cook for our guests.
I do.
And I think it's time to bring out whatever little surprises you've got for Mira.
Well, so I've gone old school and new school in our relationship.
Oh, beautiful.
So I've made the nicest thing, I think it's like crack cocaine, which is your coriander chutney.
Yes.
It's like outright. And I've made some tiny little samosas that we could dunk in there.
Ben,
God,
this is
banging.
outstanding. You've really outdone yourself here.
By the way, this isn't a strong arm, but like you should put a label on this and sell it on the internet.
Maybe you should sell that
Maybe
Deli.
on Deli, because it is like outrageous. Should I put it in a little bowl?
We
Yes,
should start
please.
doing drops of the coriander on Deli.
Freddie, will you drop that? And then Fred, you can actually just rip that bag open, because I just put the samosas.
Let me just move.
You handmade these.
Yeah, and I've fried them this morning, and I wanted to keep them crispy, but I don't know if they will have
this
stayed
is a
crispy.
treat.
You are unbelievable.
Do they look crispy, Freddie?
They look incredibly crispy. They look.
I don't know why I thought a brown bag would help keep them crispy.
Well, I don't know why,
Anyway.
but I think you're right to think that.
And then
Look how neat those little puppies
look great.
are. They are beautiful.
I learned my samosa wrapping or rolling technique from you.
Here we go. Did you?
What's the technique?
Well, Mira, I think, is it in Fresh India? You have almost
Yeah.
like a diagram. You
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
and is it with a strip of phyllo,
Yes.
which I used. You obviously maybe shouldn't use phyllo if you're proper.
Well, what?
And then this like origami technique, and you end up with the neatest samosas in the world.
Yeah.
Am
you
I
just
right?
kind of-
Am I talking nonsense?
No,
It
you're
is in
not.
Fresh
You're
India,
not.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
you kind of just fold it on itself. You get like a strip, and you just keep on folding it on itself. It's quite hard to describe. You kind of need to see it.
Well, we'll put the diagram on the internet.
Well, can
Those
you
are-
sample one of these and say how chef's done out of 10? They look very
Well,
good.
it's about the dunking, really, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's all about everything. The dunking.
And then Freddie here.
And what's that being plated up?
This is,
On
and
a
it doesn't
silver
look as
platter.
beautiful as it looks
Wow.
in the book. In fact, could you find page?
Yeah.
Those are lovely, Ben.
They're all right.
Mm,
I'm worried that
They're
the chutney
proper.
isn't as good as
really lovely.
It's not as good as when you make it, is what I'm saying
So
about the
what camera am I looking
Really
at here? This
delicious.
one here. That's what Ben has made. Ben Benton Strikes Again.
And then look at
from
when it's
dinner,
not
which is
made
gonna be
by a
better.
professional food stylist.
And then this
it
is
comes out looking.
what it actually looks like when Ben makes it. But if you buy the book, you can make it like Mira does.
You can make it properly.
For that. So there we go.
Mira, I have got a little
So good.
napkin. Freddie, will you try this chutney too?
Oh, 100% I will. It looks amazing. As we get food out and about and have a bit of fun, we've already spoken about if you did get an Indian delivery or go out for somewhere. But if you weren't getting an Indian, if you're getting something else,
Thank
what
you.
are you getting
Visual
delivered to the house? You're both having you and Hugh are having a night off. What are you going to get delivered?
So both Hugh and I have like a soft spot for old school Chinese takeaways, like
Yeah.
the Cantonese vibes.
Thank
We love it so much. He was at boarding school and it was like his like treat.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was like one of the only takeaways around like near us as well. Yeah. And so I love like an old school chow mein. He'll like order a chicken curry, and our girls eat it too. Like it's one of the only things that they eat. So egg fried rice. Oh my
They're
God,
in
it's
for
so
it.
good. He will occasionally order the special whatever, which I'm still unsure about. Like what is the special whatever?
But for nostalgia's sake,
Yeah.
he likes to order it. Yeah, that's fine.
And then my recent,
That's delicious.
it's so good, isn't it? The recent thing that I love to order is an egg foo young with like mushrooms and
Ooh.
bean sprouts.
Yeah.
So they never make it. The takeaway that I go to is like Yao's in Broughton, which is like near my parents. When I go back to my parents, and she'll never. I think her name's Angela. Will not make it when the kitchen's too busy, so it's quite hard to get your hands on an egg foo young.
Yeah.
But it feels like I've
If you can
struck
get your hands on
gold.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds
The
amazing.
holy grail.
Well, why don't you plate yourself some up of that, because
I haven't done
you're
rice,
the man
Mira,
to
'cause I
it.
dunk want to kill us.
Ben, can I pass you a samosa?
Just dunk me a
Can I just dunk you
samosa,
one?
Freddie, and
Yeah.
pop it in that bowl.
Yeah.
Did you make this morning as well, Ben?
I actually made that last night, and I think that's why it's kind of gone more murky than it might have done otherwise.
There you go.
Wildly productive.
But things are always good
You
for a
can read that
reheat.
if you want.
Can I pass this around?
Here we go. Thank you so much. They're good, aren't they? That sauce is unbelievable. So this is Ben Benton Strikes Again.
Are you still making this, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it still? What else are you making at the moment? What's your go-to on like a? What are you cooking?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is actually, Ben.
I'm making, I think, to be fair, it hasn't really changed.
So good.
Quite nice.
So
I
good.
actually had that last night, Mira.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Delicious.
Ben Benton. Ben Benton Strikes Again.
Thanks, Freddie. What am I making at the moment?
Well, you're cooking basically every other day for the show, aren't you?
Yeah, that's sort of, I cook stuff for the show. Last night, or no, not last night. God. A little while ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Okay,
delicious.
with the magic of podcasts. It was yesterday. I made
Sorry.
like a northern plate pie for the executive chef of the Ritz.
A northern plate pie.
I don't know if it's
So
specifically
is
northern.
is that when you kind of have an enamel? Sorry. you
Yeah,
go,
no,
tell me.
exactly. An
Yeah.
enamel thing, line it with
With a-
pastry, put some like delicious mince in gravy on it, pastry over the top, cook it in the
It
oven.
was great.
It's unbelievable.
is
And it
banging as
really
well.
kind of made me think I'm going to do more plate pies and because this was a corned beef, very traditional plate pie. It
Right.
was so easy to make. And so it made me, I like
Play
pies.
around with the fillings.
Play around with the fillings.
And are you making your own pastry, or are you kind of covering it?
Well,
You did.
I did.
yeah.
John Boy was very pleased with the pastry, but it was
Yeah.
actually from Aldi.
I do feel like there's a lot of mileage in to be that we could get out of pies. Like I haven't actually had one of Willie's pies yet, but I do see them around, and I feel like his flavour combinations are quite exciting.
Yeah.
100%. He was on Deli as well, wasn't he? Or was he?
Sorry.
In
Sorry, I
fact,
got you with the mouthful.
one of the recipes that Ben helped me to develop is a pie recipe, which could actually be a really nice plate pie recipe as well, which is the onion
Yeah.
and saffron.
Unbelievable.
Do you remember when we were in the kitchen and we realised that like one of the most beautiful flavour combinations that we've ever had was like onions, potatoes. We were obsessed with onions and potatoes and how
delicious.
they go like so ludicrously fudgy.
Yeah.
Like they do in like a
I
Spanish.
think maybe, did it start out as like a chelau rice or like a tadig? Like we were
yeah.
trying to do a rice and potato, and
Yes.
it morphed into a pie, and it was
It morphed into a
unbelievable.
pie, and it is unreal, isn't it? It's such a good pie.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point.
Talking about Unreal, what's your favourite meal deal combination? Do you ever have a meal deal?
God, I am going to be so disappointing on this because I work from home, and so I'm not really
No, I mean-
like in a situation where I'm like,
Smashing meal
purchasing-
deals.
Yeah, exactly. But if I'm on the road, I
Yeah.
can tell you what what I like to order,
Yes, please.
depending on the venue. And so if it's a Mackie Doodles, then I will have a strawberry milkshake and some fries.
Nice.
Love them together.
Are you,
What,
you
you dipping?
dunking?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mira.
So
well
good.
played.
So
Fair play.
good.
That's beautiful.
If it's a KFC, then I'm into the coleslaw chips and beans.
Nice.
Ooh.
Their beans in particular I find have like a really nice smoky edge to them.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm quite keen on.
The Colonel knows what he's doing.
Does,
Yeah,
yeah. But you know, the holy grail for me is, I feel a bit bad. I feel a bit,
No, tell us. This is therapy.
Fine. This is, sharing is, yeah.
I quite like a mini Waitrose on the road.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Is it okay?
There's a reason why they're popping them in every service station.
Yeah, yeah.
I really like the sweet potato falafel. I can knock back like a whole little punnet of those. I do like those.
Does that come in like, they do the little pot like 3 for
Yeah.
£8 or something?
Yeah.
I mean, that's escalated. It used to be 3 for £5.
Yeah, what's going on there?
But yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
can judge a place on their falafel as well, can't you? Because a lot of the places
A
you can
service
get them-
station.
yeah, or like
Yeah.
a supermarché.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're incredibly dry, but then if
They
they
are, exactly. So you kind of do need to purchase a drink alongside. But I think that's what I like about these ones is that they're quite moist within.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can,
Yeah,
like, you can
Yeah.
crush them.
yeah.
Might
yeah.
be the sweet potato.
Yeah, waiters know what they're doing.
Mira, this is probably an impossible question for you, but your go-to spice or like dry stores ingredient, what you're
Ooh.
reaching for?
My dry store ingredient, that's kind of more interesting than, I don't know. I like a kind of, I don't want to say noodles because that's kind of quite a dull thing to say, but I do. Let me think of something a bit more like okay. Let's think about spices.
Yeah, what's your... when you go into the dry and you sort of put a little bundle of things in your arms, come back.
Yeah.
That's what I do anyway.
Yeah.
What are you
well,
putting in?
I like my favourite spice combinations. It might not be a single spice, but like I like a black pepper and cinnamon and cumin together.
Ooh.
Is like a really nice combo. I've been using that quite a bit recently. Because you just can get into the rhythm of like certain spice combinations. Like the Gujarati spice combo is it's equal parts cumin and coriander, and then Kashmiri chili and turmeric. And if you've got those 4 things, you can make anything taste delicious.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
And this is what I found out like when I was writing the first book, Made in India. And I realised that then I needed to sort of develop my own wings. Otherwise, every single recipe would just use those
I actually
spices.
think one of your things you are the best at is your spice combinations.
Oh, thanks, Ben.
Genuinely. Because sometimes you would say, I would ask you what, and then you would say like you've just said there,
Yeah.
3 or 4 things, and I'm thinking, I can't quite gauge how that's going to taste. And then you do it, and you're like, oh my god.
Dang.
Oh, goodness.
I'd say that spice combo is fucking good, Ben, as well.
So
What you
good.
make
But
there.
that comes out of laziness because, like you're saying with Gujarati palette, the Ben Benton palette is like cumin, fennel seeds, chili.
Yeah, just whatever
Yeah.
you got in the house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I do think that is like the key to like a lot of great food is like kind of knowing that you won't accept something substandard, that if you're going to eat it, you want it to be really good.
Yeah.
But that I also do consider myself to be quite a lazy cook. And so like, and I think that's probably where you kind of clock all those things that just really work.
Yeah.
And that's, it's also kind of what I like about writing recipes that only have like a few ingredients in them. That's the holy grail, isn't it? Because
100%.
then I'm going to want to cook them again. Like if I'm faced with something that's got like 20 ingredients in there, like you're not going to tackle that again, are you?
Do you have a good go-to random fridge snack combo? It's in between meals. You open up the fridge. You start putting things together which shouldn't be together but are delicious.
Oh, that shouldn't be together.
Or
I don't
should
know,
be
'cause-
together.
Okay. I mean, I can't get enough of like tomatoes, just really nice tomatoes at the moment. So this is quite a dull snack, but I really like either a cracker or like a bagel with like just slathered in Philadelphia, tomatoes layered over the top, and like probably just salted. Yeah.
Salty tomato. People undersalt their tomatoes.
100%.
It makes me
Some
a
people
little
don't put any salt in them.
Makes
at
me
all.
angry.
You can't need a bit of black pepper on there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always good. Black pepper and a tomato also.
Outrageously good. I learned from
Outrageously
maybe
good.
Tim Hayward, I think, who was doing an Instagram series about BLTs.
Yeah.
And he was like, firstly, a BLT is actually a tomato sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
So like there needs to be loads of tomato in there. And secondly, you have to pepper the tomato, like more like you pepper a steak.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like revolutionized my tomato eating.
So good.
Game.
And I love that. There is also like a little bit of a trend going on for like tomato sandwiches at the moment with like, mayonnaise underneath. I absolutely love that
Yeah.
too. So good.
Very, very good. Very good.
Gorgeous. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Like tidying the edges off like a hunk of cheese and like dunking it in some Gita's mango chutney.
Just squaring it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great company.
I don't know.
Always Gita's. Sorry, just.
I mean, always.
Yeah, okay,
Gita's,
good.
yeah. I mean, unless it's my mum or my grand's like mango chutney, but like Gita has like absolutely nailed that, hasn't she? It's really hard to like.
Yeah.
Guilty pleasure. I don't know. Like I don't think it's kind of. What's your guilty pleasure?
I don't know. I struggle to attach like guilt to any food thing.
Same, exactly.
Probably like something really bleak, like refusing to not finish a packet of chocolate hobnobs if I open it.
Yeah, I will tell you what mine is actually, because I don't really eat. I'm like 95 to 98% of what I eat is vegetables, and occasionally I have a weak spot for some like I don't know Dan noodles or something. Trying, and so I love a little bit of. It's very difficult not to eat like very delicious
Dan noodles.
Yeah, a little bit of pork.
Yeah. That's fine.
A little bit of bacon. So that is my guilty, little bit drunk, slap some money down on the counter somewhere.
Pork and drunkness is the perfect combination.
Get me a bowl of your finest Dan
noodles.
noodles.
And just don't tell anyone.
Let's move on to your locations. I'm going to start with your weeknight restaurant. Nothing fancy, something you just eat, midweek.
Midweek, I love anything Malaysian. You're talking about a place?
Yeah.
C&R Cafe in Deli.
Is that the one down the little cut through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nasi goreng, Singapore laksa.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So good.
Favourite place for like a celebratory supper?
I love the Rochelle Canteen in the summer. Or River Cafe if I'm like,
Feeling flush.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got another bit.
Just got my nursery fees back.
Exactly.
So nice. But, I don't know, do they still do their January meal deals and, that kind of lunch deal?
Yeah.
They do. I love that's.
I think they do.
And my birthday's in January.
They
It's
do.
always
Yeah,
been
nice.
a very special thing.
Also, I think I've bored Freddie with this before, but they're opening the River Cafe,
Very excited about that. Great name.
which I'm hoping might look a bit like that January meal deal, where you can go in and get the anyway.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't. Yeah,
I wouldn't hold my breath.
No.
No, okay.
What about your go-to pub?
So it's not one that I visit regularly, but it is one I just adore, and it's the Cow in Notting Hill. I mean, what a spirit that
Almost
place
both
has.
mood, I think.
Yeah, it's like an energy rather
Yeah.
than like a physical space. It's like it's so big, isn't it? I love like the spectrum, like all the colours of the rainbow of like all the Notting Hill residents that are there. I love like having a pint of Guinness there. I just love it. I love being there. It's just great.
It's a great shout,
It's
Mira.
great.
Great pleasure.
Do you have a little hidden gem you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, like maybe Saravana Bhavan, I think is like, if you I would recommend that you go out to Saravana Bhavan or like to any of the Carolyn restaurants in East Ham.
Yeah, nice.
If you're a Londoner.
Have you been to the Tamil Prince?
No, I haven't.
Have you been?
Uela Tamil Prince.
It's in Angel.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
It's
Yeah.
fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, it's banging. Honestly, I had an amazing meal there.
Well, there you go.
I would definitely recommend anyone listening to go
About
out there.
time someone
Yeah.
asked you your hidden gem.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a hidden gem now because it's
Okay.
been popularised, but it's really worth a visit. What about your dream long weekend getaway, foodie-wise?
So I don't think anything beats getting on, just like taking the tube to King's Cross, jumping on the Eurostar and doing that in the morning so you're in Paris by lunchtime.
Yeah.
I mean, it still feels like some level of voodoo magic to me that is possible. And I just love, like, so often in London I'm doing, and when I'm in Paris I'm being. So I don't need to be in the art galleries or having like a schedule of things that I need to do. I just love walking around the Marais. And so I stay in Hotel Suki, and that was a Diana Henry recommendation.
Really?
And it's just opposite the most ludicrously perfect bar called the Mary Celeste. So just have a walk around, maybe go to the Brett's Cafe. I think that's the right pronunciation.
Yeah.
But they do Breton galettes there, which I love. Those buckwheat galettes, really interesting flavour combos. And I love Breton cider. We just feel a bit woozy kind of in the afternoon. Go and have a nap back at the hotel. Come out for a drink at the Mary Celeste, and then maybe on to Les Servan or Septime, Clamato.
We should go out this
Sign
weekend.
us up. That is
That's
unbelievable.
an unbelievable itinerary.
So nice.
I think it's time for Deli. It's time for Deli dish of the day. Deli's Deli Cook. What are we making?
Right, so it's a good question. I wouldn't naturally pair the noodles with the, what are those? Are those butter beans?
They are the butter beans.
I love those butter beans.
They're good, aren't they?
They are so good. So maybe what I do is I'm going to put the butter beans with the chili oil.
Nice.
I think that would be really nice. I might kind of stew them in a bit of the coconut milk. So the butter beans are going to be braised in some coconut milk with some onions and garlic. And then I'm going to layer it over with some chili oil, which I think would be really lovely. And then I've got noodles and tamarind
and this little sambar
peanut. So then I'd probably do like some sort of like gado-ish. Gado-ish kind of cold noodle salad in the summer with like a load of fresh summer vegetables, let's say radishes, beans, tomatoes, and then, like a cold peanut noodle sauce. I'd probably bring the chili oil back in there.
Yeah, nice.
I'd have some like squares of tofu cooked in, like in the barbecue tangy tamarind. Oh, that would be good.
Sounds unbelievable.
Furnish it with a bunch of herbs. We're good.
I don't know if we're lunch or dinner, but whatever we are, that sounds
you've
unbelievable.
Taken over Dene as the greatest Deli cook we've ever had. You're top of our Top Gear leaderboard. We're going to finish off, and you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Guys, you can now buy Dinner by Meera Sodha, and we'll put the link in the bio so you can get hold of that right now. It's an incredible book. But just to finish off, I'm going to ask you, what is your go-to 3-course meal? If you could have one 3-course meal.
Ooh la la.
Once more.
Okay, so I'm starting with some poppadoms and some geeters. And then I'm gonna go in with a butter paneer curry.
Yes.
And it's like filthy good. So paneer roasted in yogurt, spices, cream, tomato sauce, a little bit of asparagus touran on the side, a little Carolyn number just to freshen things up a little.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna finish with Hackney gelato Alfonso mango sorbet.
Whoa.
So nice. It's a very good sorbet.
That is funny.
What a meal.
Thank you.
We're now asking guests, what song do they want us to play us out with? So to finish off the episode, we're going to play you out with a song. Which song do you want us to play you out with?
So randomly, Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 just came on. I don't know why.
I like that.
But I should be thinking about garage and like...
You should.
I should, shouldn't I?
No, we've had too
because
much
that's a Ben times Mira
That's what
kitchen
we'd be cooking
favourite.
I would cook with you to Dolly, 100%.
Yeah, would you?
Let's finish off with Dolly.
Or like maybe Islands in the Stream, actually.
Yeah,
Can I
that's
change
all
it?
good for a duet.
Yeah, that would be
nice.
so
Okay.
nice. It's
Islands in the
like
Stream.
a bit of a mood booster.
Well, Meera Sodha, your new book then is incredible. Guys, get hold of that. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us your go-tos. Guys, please leave us a wonderful rating, and I believe we'll see you all again next week. It's getting confusing between seasons, but I think we will do.
Yeah.
And until then, Meera, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me
Those
on.
are
It's
your
been
go-tos.
great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Islands in the Stream.